Ooh, hello, hello. This is very unorthodox, but it is your girl Cece, the hostess with the mostest. And like I said, this is quite the unorthodox. And that is because this has been a day. This has been a day. So, and I'm trying to, okay, nope. Um, okay, well, that's gonna be what it's gonna be. Okay. So on my way home today, waiting to turn the corner to put my grandmother in the car, and somebody sideswiped me, y'all. Just a bumper though. I got out the car. They kept going. Luckily, I took the picture of the tag. So, because it happened in the county, excuse me, it happened in the city, and I went home to the county. I had to come back out to the county, not at the exact location, to wait for a police officer so I can put in an official report. So this podcast episode again will be unorthodox because whenever the police show up, I will need to tend to those matters. But nonetheless, I'm glad that you all have joined me. The podcast has been out since April, and now this is our first episode of May. I did not have an episode last week because last week, May 1st, just to catch everybody up, I had rolled out my new book, the first book of the Growing Up with Nana series. So thank you so much for those of you that have already purchased your books. Hopefully you have enjoyed them. If you did get it and you enjoyed it, please help me out by writing a review on Amazon. That will help me out, as well as a review on my Facebook page for the Growing Up with Nana page. Okay. A lot of you have sent me comments about the book, but I really need you to put the reviews actually on the Facebook page or on Amazon so that way it can count. All right. Uh, and that helps me move up in the rankings of the popularity for Amazon. So, like when people search kids' books, my book can come up to the top. Also, on May 1st, I had started my new business, my second business, Caregiving Compass Academy, which is a family caregiving coaching business. So, if you yourself are a caregiver, you know someone that's a caregiver, or potentially caregiving may be down the line for you, you might want to look into my website, www.caregivercompassacademy.com. And so we have so many things on there. You can get a caregiving 101 presentation that goes over a little bit of all the different components. Or you can set up for a coaching session with me, or you could join our membership. Our membership is packed with a lot of different things all month, and it will lead to some additional bonuses throughout the year. And not to give it away, but I'll probably will be announcing it probably in the next couple weeks, an event that I'm doing in conjunction with the Caregiver Compass Academy. So I had all of those things going on. So I did not put an episode out. However, I have a ton of great episodes that are coming. So thank you so much for staying with your girl. But today's episode, I wanted to talk about releasing the version of you that survived. Okay. So I think this is a deep topic. I might not be able to get too deep into it here. I really wanted people to join me and to engage in conversation. Let me turn on the chat so I can see if people write stuff. So if you have something to share, put it down in the chat. I won't share who said what, of course, but just to kind of engage with me. Because, of course, usually when I record these podcasts, I usually have a friend or somebody on me. But today I am my own special guest. Okay. It's been a long time since you just had me directly. But here we go. So, I feel like we all go through seasons, so many different things that we do. And, with that, we're having to shed off the old so that way we can clear out room for the new. And, for me, I experienced a layoff this year, and some other things that occurred. And so I think that has put me straight ahead to the season that I'm in, which is elevation and alignment. So, and what that means for me, as I mentioned, I have all these things going on right now. I'm elevating the caliber to which I do things. The trajectory that I'm doing things is at a higher speed, more clear, more intent purpose to which I'm doing these things, and being very intentional, because I've been a caregiver, for instance, over 16 years, right? And I've always helped people out. People ask me things because they've seen my journey. So many of you have seen me actually interact with Nana, or you may have met Nana yourself, or my current grandmother, Becky. Nonetheless, you've seen me, and you see what I do and how I do it. And you've asked me questions. And so for me, it was very important to turn what I thought at the time was just such a struggle, um, a deterrent, whatever negative name you want to put on it, but to turn it into a positive. And I don't want to say make it work for me, but make it into a way that I can actually turn it into purpose and being able to help people out. So, it caused me to have to, I don't want to say grow up fast, but, think about things in a different way, because just like when you become a parent, you no longer are just thinking about yourself, you're thinking about your child as well. So, in thinking of all of that, and just understanding like all the different things that you go through, no matter what they are, good or bad, but there's always a purpose behind it. There's always a lesson behind it. And sometimes if you don't get what that lesson is, God will keep putting you through it over and over again. So, again, if any of this resonates with you, feel free to put it down in the comments and everything. I feel so out of my element, y'all. Like, in the car, like as if as if I am. I guess, I mean, yeah, I am doing a live, but it's nothing like actually being in my studio, nonetheless. But when you for and then another example of releasing the old version of you is when you're in a relationship. A lot of times people leave relationships because, I mean, of course, there might be a mutual disagreement or whatever, irreconcilable differences, things like that. But a lot of times I hear people say that they leave relationships because they don't like the person that they've become. They don't like the person that that they've become, or just anything along that variation. And so as a result, you like, I can't lose me. So you have to make that conscious decision in order to survive, in order to thrive, that you have to take those steps and separate yourself. Just like we have to do sometimes with friendships or any type of relationship, that when things are not working out, people are not on the same playing field as you. People are not as like-minded as you. They don't think like you. They are not about the things that you're doing. You got to shut that off. I know people do that every new year. I think I said that in another episode, that people, when the new year comes, you can always count on somebody having a Facebook post saying, oh, well, if you don't see any posts from me or whatever, that means that I unfriended you and all these things. But it's like, well, you're taking the time to do all that, but are you actually like looking inside of you to see what you can change, what you can actually shed? You want to shed people, but what can you yourself shed in order to become better? So it's all of those things, you know, and these are all things that just came to my mind while I'm just sitting here talking. This is nothing like what I had written down for this topic, by the way, but it's the things that are coming to me. So, like I said, I think some people look at it as a negative thing, but I think it's a positive thing. I think it's something just like how we go through our clothes and we look through and see like, well, what fits, what doesn't fit anymore, and we, 1, 2, 3, release them, type of thing. Same type, same concept. What does not fit you is no longer for you. Okay, so let me say that again. What no longer fits you is not for you. And sometimes we try to put a square in a circle, and a no, what is it? A square in a hole. A square can't with a circle. Okay, we keep trying to always try to make things fit where it doesn't belong. So, I think that we as a people have problems with that, but that's just something internally that I think that we just have to work on, um, individually. I know I talk a lot about therapy on a lot of my episodes, and that's because I really want, people to understand that this is Mental Awareness Month, as well. So, with that, we have to be very conscious. A lot of times people think of, mental health as that stigma of something being wrong with you. But no, sometimes you could be perfectly fine, but just having that other person around that you can vent to, that you can share information to, run things off of, is a good person to have in your back pocket. I do that all the time with my Reiki therapist. I'm just coming there for Reiki, but we always spend at least 30 minutes, me catching her up on life, her offering, that listening ear to just kind of like help me see things in a different light and a different perspective. Because sometimes your friends can't break it down to you because there's some bias there, right? So, you have to do the work to get where you need to go. I'm gonna say that again too. You got to do the work to get where you gotta go. I'm just saying. So, it's all of those things to, keep in mind that I thought of when I did this. And the other reason why I picked this episode was because I just wanted to do like a reset with everything, as well. So yeah, but this season, what I've talked about so far, we talked a little bit about caregiving, the parts that people don't talk about, when you become a caregiver and what that looks like. Because again, we have this image in our mind of what certain things are supposed to look like, what things certain things are supposed to be, and they might not be that. Because caregiving sure is not. A lot of people think caregiving is cleaning somebody and basically feeding them. But they don't realize that it's a financial, it's an emotional, it's a physical sacrifice. Yes, you're helping people with their activities of daily living, aka ADLs. But it very much is, um time consuming, overwhelming, and can lead to exhaustion, burnout, caregiver guilt. There's a lot of things that go on with that. So we talk about that. Uh, I've talked about faith over fear so far this season. And, I think that in a relation to this episode, that some of us have some fear of being able to, to release what is not good for us because of the outcome or what people will think. But again, who cares when you're releasing the people that are not for you? Who cares what they think? Because God is going to put other people in your life, that need to be in your life, that is going to provide you with the things that you need in your life. So again, just keep that in mind. Another episode we had so far this season is pageantry. Is it performance or strategy? Same thing. And I know people have a one track mind when it comes to pageantry, but it really is like I'm using this word very loosely, a science behind it, as well. And a lot of people that I've met during the pageant that I was in, Miss Corporate America, um, they did, it was like a therapeutic task for them where they did release certain things that happened to them as they were growing up or that they've experienced, and they wanted to release that part and be able to use the pageant as a celebration of what they've overcome or what they will overcome, and forcing them to get into that spotlight and forcing them to get out, to become a different version of them. So all of these things that so far that I have been talking about kind of put us in perspective, put everything into perspective to where we're going. Now, what you can expect from the bottom line is for the remainder of the season will go up until probably um, the end of August, somewhere around there. Normally, my seasons run about maybe 5 to 6 months. So, again, if you do want to be a guest, email me, DM me, and we can have that conversation. But we talk about being a high achieving person, but still being exhausted. From the surface, it looks like, oh, wow, you are great. You're getting things done. You're doing this, you're doing that. But you still, at the end of the day, are burnt out. We talk about, loving yourself before the relationship comes. Uh, We talk about, are your standards high or are they not high when it comes to dating? Let's see what else. I'm trying to go off memory again without my notes. But I say all that to say we have a lot of different topics, whether it's relating to dating. We have caregiving, talking about setting boundaries while caregiving, which really you don't have to be a caregiver to enjoy that episode, because I think that it's important for all of us as a people to set some type of boundaries in our world in order to protect our peace. So yeah, it's a lot of different things. I just ask that be patient with me. Certainly send me if you have any suggestions. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and review as well for the bottom line, because I'm all about just trying to hit you all with bangers, things that like I feel like people need to hear. Like sometimes you may hear it from a friend, but it just doesn't resonate. But then when you watch the episodes, you're like, okay, I can relate to that. And that's just like one of my intro songs. You know, the job getting on your nerves, girl. Let's chat. And I can relate. So let's chat, because I'm going to tell you what the bottom line is. And that's what we do here on the bottom line. So, again, if anything resonated with you, put it down here in the chat. I hope that you all have an amazing weekend. If you are a mother, have an amazing Mother's Day and safe Mother's Day. Enjoy yourself. And I will catch you all next Friday, 7 p.m. So same time, same place, except I won't be in the car on another episode of The